Hello, this is JC from Real and Simulated Wars. We're going to have another battlefield tour today, and this tour is inspired by Panzer Campaigns Budapest 45, an excellent title from John Tyler Software. As you know, if you're not familiar, because probably you're watching this because you just got the description in the title from Flight Simulator. It's a war game at the operational level. It features, historic operations during World War II and Modern II. There is another series, but that's another thing. In this case, we're here near Budapest. Budapest is not featured in this map. It is somehow to the west. And, this is Operation Konrad I, which happened during the eve of the New Year's Eve of 1945, during the first days of 1945. So in this case, what the Germans were trying to do, they were desperate to relieve Budapest, which was surrounded by this time. I do believe that, the 18 Russian tank corps was around this area, and they were doing very nice progress, and they were fortifying all over the place. It was quite a desperate situation, and the Germans, for Konrad I, they decided to go for the most awful terrain. As you can see here, this is very hilly terrain, and again, we have here, a lot of panzer divisions. We have the 3rd SS Panzer Division here in this area, which was not even assembled. Everything was in trains yet. It was awful. And we have the 5th Panzer Division, the so-called the Viking Panzer Division, and the 6th Panzer Division, which were part of, other formations of the so-called group, camp group Pape, or Pape, I don't know how to pronounce that in German. And basically they decided to go for this terrain because it was the closest path towards Budapest. Very debatable. In the end, it failed. They could cross the hills, but somehow, they were stopped by the 18 tank corps. An immense battle here happened in this valley, so it's quite an interesting operation. So, and there is also some interesting things that did happen too. The 96th Infantry Division was crossing at this point alongside with the Zen Lazio Infantry Division, which was crossing the Danube in this area. So there is plenty of units, of German units north of the Danube, of the river Danube, as you can see. And there are plenty of books that deal with these operations, both south and north of the Danube. There's really very good sources. So today what I want to do I want to inspect this terrain and look for a couple of landmarks. My intention is to make some scenarios for combat mission Fire and Rubble, but that's another thing. I'm digressing right now. So I'm going to fly to Tata, which is almost, the edge between the 5 SS Panzer Division and Kampfgruppe Pape, right here. I'm gonna fly there. I also want to inspect this nice, not amphibious operation. They crossed it in boats, but the 96th Infantry Division crossing point, I want to inspect it too, and I want to also to visit Tarjan and Bajna, or Banya, I don't know how to pronounce that, because there were places of very important battles. In particular, Tarjan, was the target of the 5 SS Panzer Division, which followed this route. I want to take a look at that and see how the terrain is. And also Banya, which is, you will see in the flight, it is quite an interesting place to fight the battle. So thank you for joining me in this flight, and let's go straight into it. So just a little comment about the flight plan. I open it here with little nav map, which is a very nice utility. I use it a lot for actually for IFR flying, but it can be used also for BFR. It is a very nice utility. I'm not a professional flight simulator junkie, so I apologize if I'm not using it correctly. But nonetheless, I'm on takeoff from Budapest International Airport. That's a very heavy international airport. I'm gonna go straight to waypoint number 1, which is Tata, which is a place where the first SS Viking Panzer Division started all the way towards Tarjan. And then I'm going to go to the crossing site of the 96 Infantry Division, which is right there, waypoint number 2. Then I'm going to visit the town of Tarjan, and then I'm going to go to Bachna, and then I'm going to be landing back at the Ferihegi International Airport. So let's get ready, strap on our airplane. More details later. Well, thank you for staying. We're going to fly in this Aeromacchi M339. I believe is the designation is a trainer from the Italian Air Force. A very nice aircraft to fly. It's an add-on. It's kind of high quality. I really like it. It's not DCS level, of course, but you know, nice flights on it. It's relatively fast, and you can do stuff on it, which is what I like. But of course, it's not a DCS level type of aircraft. So we're going to be in takeoff. We're going to take off the brake. Anti-skid, I don't know why people leave it off. Take off, and we're going to put our radio navigation already on, or the random navigation, how people sometimes call it. I'm not going to follow procedure. You will listen the ATC guys going bananas about my flight. I don't care. I just want to go to this tour straight away. It's not a long flight. We just have enough airspeed to go. And this is our first leg of the flight. We're just taking off. I don't want to climb too much. I keep it around 4,000 feet if I can. As you can see, this is Budapest. It's a very nice city. I wish one day I could go there in real life. But oh well. All we can do now it is the flight simulator. As you can see, it seems like a very vibrant city. And I suppose that this is the most historical part right in front of us. And off we go. You see, the Aeromacchi is a very easy to handle aircraft. Oh, look at that. I'm dying to drive in those streets or to walk in those streets. Very beautiful city. I left the markers on just to show you the landmarks. And as you can see, Budapest, you know, there is a lot of suburbs and, you know, towns around it. There is a ring of hills, and that's the Danube that takes a quite a sharp bend towards the south. And as ourselves, we are going to just ATC is driving us nuts. I'm going to ignore them completely. So the relief of Budapest was going to be something very complicated. I mean, to get back into these troops. I suppose that the idea was just to take out the troops from there rather than, you know, retake Budapest. And to be honest, I don't know exactly what was the point where the Germans were, the most eastern point where the Germans were at. But as you can see, right here, the terrain is more open and more suitable for, you know, armored warfare. So we're flying quite fast. As you can see, our aircraft is just a trainer. It's quite nimble, quite small. Instructor goes in the back and the trainee goes in the front. And the beautiful landscape in the background. I'm not gonna climb, boys. Ain't gonna happen. I wanna see the terrain closer. I believe that I set up the flight plan quite wrongly. I believe I did put 10,000 feet, but not a problem. So let's go. Our first waypoint, it is in Tata, which is a place where the 5SS Panzer Division, the Viking Division, started its operations on the evening of December 31st, 1944. So right now we're 11 miles away and we can see the hills right here, right in front of me. The dreadful hills full of forests that were, you know, the backdrop to these kind of advance of these panzer divisions. Just beyond those hills, the town of Tata, see that those bodies of water over there were the limit between the 5SS Panzer Division and the 6 SS Panzer Division, which was part of the Kampfgruppe Bomb-Pap. So the terrain right here where the relief started, or the Operation Konrad started, is quite plain. Of course, back then it was less developed. I do believe that Tata didn't occupy more than 1 kilometer square, and we're just above it. So this is the place, and as you can see, they had to drive all the way up to those hills. The Russians, you know, had very meager defenses around and they run for the hills, and they made a stance over there, and they stubbornly defended, but eventually they were overwhelmed by the Vikings and the 6th Panzer Division. You see the passages over there, quite narrow, not quite panzer terrain. And on the other hand, the 96th Infantry Division was making a crossing right here. I'm going to overfly it, where you see these islands over the Danube. I believe one of the cities back then was called the city of Mocha or Moza. I don't know how to pronounce it in Bulgarian. Right here. It's not throwing me a name. But you can see the main feature here for this crossing. This is the Danube is quite wide here. And the other thing that is very significant, that I was very pleased to see, it is that, you know, once you cross, the Danube has like a very deep, wow, let's not crash. The Danube has like a very steep climb towards a more plain place. So the 96th Division, the mission that it had was just to keep these guys, keep the Russians off balance, and I believe that they retreated a little bit when they saw that. And now we're going to the town of Tarjan, which is right there, right in front where my gun sight is. I wish I could take a picture. That's Tarjan. The 5SS Panzer Division came through the right. There's supposed to be a road that goes into it, but I cannot see it from the air, and God knows if it's still there. Probably yes, but you can see right now it's a big town. I'm sure it was not the case back in 1945, of course, but the terrain is dreadful. I mean, put tanks through it, really awful. And the Germans were trying to go through and to get into the flat terrain right in front of me. On the other hand, the Takeoff division had the mission of going through Bakhna, which is a city that is very near it's very distinctive. Here it is. I'm gonna take a dive. This is Bakhna. Attack it from the left, from that direction, by the Takeoff division. It was a bitter battle here. The Germans had a very hard time taking out the 18 tank corps of the Soviets. So eventually they pushed them, and the Russians took a stance right on those hills over there. Quite nice defensive terrain. So as you can see, this is fertile ground to take some screenshots and to make combat mission scenarios. Now that we have the Fire and Rubble DLC, this is very nice to take inspiration for some photos during 1945. Would be great too to have. So that's basically it. We're going to be heading back towards Budapest now for a landing at the airport, at the Ferihegi International Airport. It was supposed to be a very short flight, and I think that we could stick by that. We're 28 nautical miles from the Budapest airport, so it's not bad. But as you can see, very hilly terrain right here. And of course, Operation Konrad was stopped around these hills. The 18 Tank Corps was no slouch. And by this time, the Russians had learned a lot on how to fight armor. And to be honest, they were expecting a counterattack. So, no surprises there. So, let's get back. And let's hope that we can make another tour for Operation Konrad #2. The terrain is more flat and less appealing. But, you know, overall, it's not like some people believe that the Germans were stopped here because of the terrain. They made it through the worst, through thick terrain, and eventually, you know, they stopped around right there where I indicated you. But it could be also, the reason could have been just simply, you know, culmination point, the point where, you know, you cannot sustain any military operation anymore. So I'm gonna choose what is this? 13R is our runway. So I'm gonna stop this and try to catch 13R. It is 11. I'm picking up the chart here. 110.50, which I already tuned there. Is that airport right there? Let's see when we can catch it, and we're going to go for a landing. So I hope you enjoyed this tour. I really like to do these exercises. I have the feeling that, you know, the battlefields are smaller than one makes from a map, and you know, very good war games, and this flight simulator really helps you to get the perception. That was my only hope for today. So alright, I'm gonna start to decrease the speed. I just deployed the flaps. I just catch the slope. Oh, I forgot to select my course for 13. There we go. Very nice. Let's hope I don't have a crappy landing. I'm above the slope. I'll try to trim it for a lower airspeed. Again, I'm above the slope. Deploy the gear. Oh, I am above airspeed. So my gear is not down, I suppose. Yeah. So I will have to... Oh, there we go. Now you want it. Okay. So this is not the landing pattern. There's no semblance of it. But we're going to do it anyway. Just because it's a simulator. This thing I am missing from Flight Simulator. I never got it to learn, like, you know, approaches and holding patterns. And this software, the little nav map, it is exactly for that. And I just use it like a moron for IFR flights. So anyway, so there are the runways. I have to take a sharp turn here. The gear is down. R. Expedite your climb. Expedite your landing, dude. But it doesn't matter. We will make it. I'm below the slope. Two knots wind. I'm reading from the report here from Little Nav Map. A slight slightly to the right. And there we go. Thank you very much for watching, guys. I will see you in another tour or in another video. Thank you for watching. Right, more or less safely back into the ground, and that's it. Okay, now to taxi. Thank you very much, guys. See you.